For decades, we have been told a very simple story about a specific nutrient, usually paired with images of tall glasses of milk and strong, unbreakable bones. We grew up believing that the sunshine nutrient was merely a structural building block, a biological mortar required to keep our skeletons sturdy. But what if that foundational narrative is only a fraction of the truth? The reality is that this famous compound is operating on a much grander scale, quietly orchestrating defenses and regulating systems far beyond our skeletal framework. Despite its famous association with golden sunshine, a silent epidemic of deficiency stretches across the globe, affecting millions who spend their days under artificial lights and behind glass windows. We often attribute our frequent winter colds, persistent fatigue, and lingering aches to the inevitable stress of modern life. Yet, the true culprit might be a biological starvation of a critical molecule. Our bodies are crying out for a master regulator, and ignoring this signal leaves our internal defenses compromised and our vitality drained. To understand this immense impact, we must correct a fundamental scientific misnomer. Vitamin D is not actually a vitamin at all. In the strict biological sense, a vitamin is an essential nutrient that the body cannot synthesize on its own and must acquire entirely through diet. Instead, this remarkable substance is a prohormone, a precursor to an active hormone that our bodies are perfectly designed to manufacture. When sunlight hits our skin, a complex metabolic cascade begins, ultimately transforming a type of cholesterol into a potent chemical messenger that interacts with nearly every tissue in the human body. Knowing that we are dealing with a powerful prohormone rather than a simple dietary additive changes everything. But how exactly does a compound traditionally linked to calcium absorption become a frontline defender against microscopic invaders? The answer lies hidden within the microscopic architecture of our immune system, where this molecule acts as a crucial key unlocking our cellular armor. Deep within our bloodstream and tissues, our immune cells are equipped with specific receiving stations known as vitamin D receptors. These receptors are not accidental anomalies, they are intentionally placed on the surfaces of macrophages, dendritic cells, and T cells, which are the heavy infantry and tactical commanders of our immune defense. When the active form of the molecule binds to these receptors, it sends a direct signal to the cell nucleus. This interaction physically alters genetic expression, turning on the biological machinery required to fight off pathogens. Without sufficient levels of this prohormone, our immune cells remain sluggish and unresponsive, like soldiers sleeping through an alarm. Research demonstrates that when macrophages encounter a pathogen, they actively seek out the sunshine molecule to synthesize antimicrobial proteins. These specific proteins act like biological explosives, directly puncturing the outer membranes of invading bacteria and viruses. Without the master key to unlock this defense mechanism, our innate immunity is severely blunted, leaving us highly susceptible to common respiratory infections and seasonal illnesses. This profound immune modulation extends far beyond just fighting off the latest office cold. It plays a critical role in managing chronic inflammation, a persistent low-grade fire burning within the tissues that is now recognized as a root cause of countless modern diseases. By regulating the production of inflammatory cytokines, the prohormone prevents the immune system from overreacting. It acts as a biological thermostat, cooling down excessive inflammatory responses that can damage healthy tissue over time. The ability to cool down inflammation is a powerful tool, but what if the immune system is not just overreacting, but actively attacking the body it is sworn to protect? The real surprise lies in how this master regulator navigates the treacherous territory of autoimmune conditions. Stay with us to uncover how calming friendly fire might rely on this single, misunderstood molecule. In the realm of autoimmune diseases, the immune system loses its ability to distinguish between foreign invaders and the body's own healthy cells. Extensive epidemiological studies have revealed a striking geographic correlation. Populations living further from the equator, where ultraviolet sunlight is scarce for months at a time, show significantly higher rates of conditions like multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, and type 1 diabetes. This is not a mere coincidence of latitude. It points directly to a systemic failure in cellular communication driven by chronic deficiency. By maintaining optimal levels, we provide our bodies with the necessary tools to enforce immune tolerance. The prohormone function ensures that regulatory T cells, the peacekeepers of the immune system, are properly developed and deployed. These peacekeepers actively suppress rogue immune cells that attempt to attack our own nervous system, joints, or pancreas. It is not about boosting the immune system into overdrive, which could actually worsen autoimmune conditions, but rather achieving precise, elegant modulation. The benefits of this precise biological tuning ripple outward, heavily influencing cardiovascular health. The lining of our blood vessels, the endothelium, is highly sensitive to inflammatory damage. When the master regulator is deficient, systemic inflammation can accelerate the stiffening of arteries and the buildup of plaque. By keeping the inflammatory thermostat in check, we protect the delicate vascular networks that supply oxygen to our heart and brain, lowering the risk of hypertension and severe cardiac events. We have seen how it fortifies our defenses and protects our heart, but the reach of this chemical messenger extends even higher. Could the very mood we wake up with, our resilience against stress, and our overall mental clarity be tethered to this same biological pathway? The connections between sunlight, chemistry, and human emotion are far more literal than poetry suggests. Neuroscientists have mapped the presence of these specific hormone receptors deep within the human brain, particularly in the hippocampus and hypothalamus, regions intimately involved in emotional processing and memory. Here, the active molecule plays a direct role in the synthesis of neurotransmitters. It activates the gene responsible for creating an enzyme called tryptophan hydroxylase, which is the absolute biological prerequisite for producing serotonin. Serotonin is the vital chemical messenger that stabilizes our mood, promotes feelings of well being, and regulates our sleep cycles. When we are starved of this crucial precursor, serotonin production inevitably falters. This neurological deficit provides a clear, evidence based explanation for why low levels are consistently linked to mood regulation issues and clinical depression. It is not simply a matter of feeling gloomy because the weather is bad. It is a structural, chemical shortage in the brain emotional control centers. The persistent heavy fog of depression may, in some cases, be exacerbated by a simple, correctable biological void. This understanding empowers daily choices, particularly during the darker months when seasonal affective disorder creeps into our lives. Recognizing that our winter blues have a tangible physiological component allows us to take proactive steps. We can actively seek out midday light, adjust our nutritional intake, and monitor our internal levels to ensure our brain has the raw materials it needs to maintain emotional equilibrium. To harness these profound benefits, we must understand the journey this molecule takes to become biologically useful. The process begins on the surface of the skin, where ultraviolet B radiation from the sun converts a cholesterol derivative into a precursor state. But this is only the first step. This precursor must then travel to the liver, where it undergoes its first chemical alteration, and finally to the kidneys, where it is transformed into its fully active, potent form. This final, fully activated form is known as calcitriol. Calcitriol is the true master key, the hormone that actually binds to the cellular receptors across the immune system, the brain, and the cardiovascular network. When medical professionals measure your levels during a blood test, they are usually looking at the intermediate form created by the liver to gauge your overall storage capacity, ensuring you have enough reserves to produce the active hormone when your body demands it. Unfortunately, our modern lifestyle is fundamentally at odds with this ancient biological process. We spend our days inside climate controlled boxes, slather ourselves in high factor sunscreens when we do step outside, and live in latitudes where the winter sun is simply too weak to trigger skin synthesis. We have engineered an environment that systematically deprives us of the very catalyst required to build our internal defenses and stabilize our moods. Reclaiming our health requires a strategic approach to sun exposure. For many, spending just 15 to 30 minutes in midday sunlight a few times a week, with arms and legs exposed and without sunscreen, is enough to generate a healthy baseline. However, this varies wildly based on skin pigmentation. Melanin acts as a natural sunblock, meaning individuals with darker skin require significantly more time in the sun to produce the same amount of the precursor molecule. When the sun is not a viable option, we must turn to our plates, though the natural dietary sources are frustratingly limited. Fatty fish like wild-caught salmon, mackerel, and sardines are among the few robust natural reservoirs. Egg yolks and certain types of sun-exposed mushrooms also offer modest amounts. Because it is so difficult to acquire adequate levels through food alone, fortified foods like dairy and plant milks have become standard, yet they often fall short of providing optimal therapeutic doses. For the vast majority of the modern population, high-quality supplementation becomes an indispensable tool for preventive health. When choosing a supplement, the form matters immensely. Cholecalciferol, commonly known as vitamin D3, is the form naturally produced by our bodies and is significantly more effective at raising and maintaining blood levels than its plant-derived counterpart. Furthermore, this nutrient does not work in isolation. It requires crucial cofactors, particularly vitamin K2 and magnesium, to properly direct calcium into the bones and keep it out of the soft tissues. However, we must cut through the dangerous misinformation that suggests massive, unchecked megadoses are a universal cure-all. Because this is a fat-soluble hormone, our bodies store the excess in our adipose tissue and liver. Blindly consuming extreme amounts without medical supervision can lead to toxicity, causing calcium to build up dangerously in the blood, which can result in kidney stones and cardiovascular damage. Precision guided by actual blood testing is always superior to blind enthusiasm. As research pushes forward, the boundaries of what we understand about this master regulator continue to expand. Scientists are now exploring its profound impact on epigenetics, the study of how behaviors and environment can cause changes that affect the way our genes work. Emerging data suggests that optimal levels of this hormone can positively influence the expression of hundreds of genes, effectively turning on protective pathways and silencing those associated with chronic disease and cellular aging. This holistic perspective shifts our entire approach to daily wellness. We are no longer just trying to avoid brittle bones, we are actively managing a complex prohormone system that dictates our resilience against infections, our defense against autoimmune conditions, and the stability of our mental health. The echoes of balanced nutrition and mindful sunlight exposure resonate through every cell, building a foundation for true longevity. The story of this incredible molecule is a testament to the intricate, interconnected nature of human biology. By understanding how vitamin D modulates the immune system and health, we move from passive participants to active architects of our well being. Armed with this evidence based clarity, we can optimize our daily habits, ensuring that our internal defenses are primed, our minds remain sharp, and our bodies are fully equipped to thrive in the modern world.